We are in Parashat Behar. Same thing like we had last week and the previous week. Here in Israel, we're in Behar. The diaspora is Parashat Emor. Normally, you would think that we would match up with them right now, because usually Behar you read attached to Bechukotai. So you would think that in diaspora now they'll catch up with Bechukotai, but it's going to go for a few more weeks. But nevertheless, here in Israel, we're one step ahead. And Baruch Hashem. All the parashot are important, all the Torah is important. Sometimes the messages are more important than usual. And today, I know I said that many times in many other classes, but this will be one of the most important messages that a smart person needs to hear, and if they take advantage or use of that, then you will gain your reward. And in English, you know, they say time is money. Time is one of the most important things that we have. That to a point that smart people don't waste time. You have to ask yourself all the time, what am I doing with my free moments? And most people, they waste 80% of their day on nonsense. And the ones who know how to take advantage of their time, these are the only ones who will become successful in this world. People who know how to waste time will never be successful. Not in business, not in studying, not in achieving things. Why? Because the time is being wasted. And unfortunately, most people, they waste their time. Smart people, every moment in their life is a valuable moment. Everything is calculated, everything is to the point. A person that wastes their time in their life, like I said, will never be successful. And I'm not saying it chas v'shalom in a derogatory way or to hurt somebody's feelings. I'm saying it from a point of an education point. And I see it on myself. My day is calculated by the minute. Literally every minute of my day is calculated. People sometimes try to schmooze with me. I don't schmooze. I don't talk. I don't waste time. Every minute for me. If you take my minute, this is a big deal for me. People don't understand that with me. Why are you walking away? I'm not here to schmooze with you. I'm business. And not because I'm rude. I don't see any reason why my day should be wasted on anything but what it needs to be done, and what I'm able to squeeze in 18 hours a day, in 20 hours a day, and mostly it's 22 hours a day, then usually it will be done in a week. And not because I'm Superman, because I know how to use my time. And if my time is being wasted, then I see for myself and for many others, because that's the majority of people, then they're not going to have success in what they're trying to do. Now, because time is so precious, then there's the temptation and the Yetzer Hara and the ability to waste it. If time was not precious, then it wouldn't be a problem. Whenever something is precious or dear or important, then the Yetzer Hara will work overtime to make sure that you're wasting it there. So because time is so important, that's why we have the tendency of wasting time. The Chafetz Chaim once said something very interesting, and this will not be so applicable to our generation, but we'll still explain it. And the Chafetz Chaim said life is like a postcard. So for the younger generation, you tell them a postcard, they don't know what you're talking about. A little bit of an older generation, if you remember once we used to travel, then you would land in the city where you travel and you got a postcard with a picture of where you are. Right? Remember that thing? Ooh, now it's an email or WhatsApp or whatever, Facebook status, a tweet. I remember when I was younger, I would travel. After the army, I went traveling for a couple of years. And every city that I went to, I bought a postcard. That was the tourist attraction. You buy a postcard with where you are. And you're right, I'm alive, everything is good, the food is amazing, blah, blah, blah. Chafetz Chaim says life is like a postcard. You know why? The older generation will relate with it. In a postcard, you start in big letters. Hello, how are you? I am doing great. By the time you came to the half of the postcard, wait a minute, I'm running out of place. So the writing starts becoming smaller, and then you write on the side, on the top, in the line, in between. Then your writing goes like Because at the beginning you have a lot of space, so you do big letters. And in the end, you're running out of space, you write little letters, and you're squeezing in every word is valuable. So Chafetz Chaim says life is like a postcard. In the beginning you start, it's a lot of time, I have another 80 years to live. So you waste your time. Then when you're 80 years old, wait a minute, my days are numbered. I have to take now advantage of every moment. But now, just to put my shoes will take me 2 hours. We have a special individual that comes here often. I don't know if you notice him, Menachem. He's a Holocaust survivor. He was one of the Mengele kids. He was in Auschwitz. He has the tattoo on his leg. He was one of the kids that survived Mengele in Machshimo. He comes and sits here, sometimes prays with us. I see with him. He likes coming here, but he tells me, it takes me 3 hours to come here. Every move, till he moves, till he opens, the phone rings, take him 3 minutes to answer the phone, till he opens, till the finger moves. When you're old, you don't have the luxury of doing things quick. So today I want to talk about time, and I want to talk about the importance of time. And when you're looking at the concept of time, you want to ask yourself a question: what is the meaning of a moment in my life? Do you have any meaning for any moment of your life or not? So now, Baruch Hashem, the technology is allowing us to capture moments. So everybody has 50,000 pictures on their phone. 90% of them is junk, you can erase them, but we can capture moments. Video with the pictures, and Baruch Hashem, now, I remember many years ago, to take a picture, gather the whole family, everybody gets dressed, I have one shot, you better smile there. Now today, so you have to ask yourself a question: what is the moment of every moment in my life? And if I understand what's a moment in my life, then I will know how to take advantage of it. If I don't have value to my time, I'm not talking right now value to other people's time. That's a whole different thing. If I know the value of my moments, I will know how to take advantage of these moments. The Midrash says that En aveda ke avedat hazman. There's no greater loss like losing time. Because you'll never get that moment back. Almost anything you lose in this world, you can find. You lost a business, fine, okay, start a new one. You lost a little thing, you'll buy another one. Most things in this world you can replace. The only thing you can really replace when you lose is when you lose a loved one. But that's a whole different thing. But nevertheless, the Midrash says the worst thing to lose is time. Because you'll never get this moment. Now it's 10:54 and 53 cents, and 53 seconds, 55, 57. Look how much seconds, every second. You see why I have this big clock in front of me? Because every second, like, oh my gosh, I wasted a second. No, I didn't waste it because I did something. So, almost everything you can bring back. Time you can bring back. This moment will never be back. This opportunity, that's it, gone, will never come back. Now comes another question you want to ask yourself. What is determining the length of my life in this world? I know that the Torah says that everything is predestined, and I have a certain amount of time to live in this world, and that's it. And the same amount of days that I got in this world, I explained that already. That's the amount of sparks I have in my neshama, specifically in the part of the neshama that is called chaya. We speak many times about the 5 levels of the souls. Nefesh, ruach, neshama, the lower parts, then chaya and yechida. The chaya is the surrounding light, the or mekif, an aura. It's built from thousands and thousands of pieces. Every day of my life is one piece. Which means that if I live till the age of 80, it makes 80 times 365, add the leap year, take off the whatever days you need to remove from the calendar, the amount you get, couple tens of thousands, that's the amount of sparks, of pieces, of parts in this part of the neshama that have to be refined and elevated. And if I didn't do it today, it's like AT&T. It rolls over to the next day, and then I have 2. And then it will roll to the next day and to the next day, and some people, they're carrying on them already 2 years of what they didn't do, and life becomes hard and a burden. So I do know that there is a certain amount of time that I was given, but on the other hand, We do know, based on the Talmud, that many times people were able to do good things and they got a bonus, they got an extension. So the same Midrash says where it's a terrible thing to lose time because you can never get it back, the same Midrash says the person who knows how to value presents will get more presents. When you know how to value the present that Hashem gave you, then Hashem will give you more of it. If you don't know how to value what Hashem gives you, you won't get any more of it. So Hashem gives you time, and a lot of it. If you value that, I'm not talking as now thanking Hashem, I'm talking that you do something with your time, Hashem will give you more time to do things. Suddenly, your day will expand. The terminology in the Torah is called kfitzat haderech. What would take me 10 hours, took me 1 hour. How did that happen? Because the Kadosh Baruch Hu can control time. He can make time expand. If you value the present Hashem gave you, He will make time expand for you. And you can also get what's called arichut yamim, a longer life than what you're supposed to get. Wouldn't you mind getting another 20 years to squeeze in some more good deeds? Just imagine if we had suddenly an extension, 28 hours a day. Ooh, that would have been a very efficient to have a few more hours. But nevertheless, like I told you, this is a rule that you have to memorize very well. What the Midrash says, a person who values the presents Hashem gives him, Hashem will give him more presents. You don't value what Hashem gives you, you're not going to get more presents. That's how it works. So I said that the Talmud teaches us of many people that they were able to do good deeds and they extended their time in this planet. One story out of many. This can be found in Tractate Rosh Hashanah, page 17, about two great sages that the entire Talmud is full with them, Rava and Abaye. If you learn Talmud, you know that constantly you hear these two names. These two individuals were cousins. In case for the ones who don't know, they were cousins. Now, not only they were cousins, they were from the family of Bnei Mishpachat Ali, from the time of Eliyahu Navi. There was a certain Kohen, some call him Ali, Eli. Nevertheless, he written with an ayin. They were his descendants. They carried with them a certain genetic disease that they knew that they're not going to live long. Usually, that disease, people died around 18 to 20. Around the age 20, they died. That's what the genetic disease that the entire family carried. Now, they were supposed to die young. They knew that actions can change things. So, on their bar mitzvah, they both made a deal with the Kadosh Baruch Hu. Rava says, I know I'm about to die young, so I accept on myself to devote my life to learn Torah. On the other hand, Abaye took it one step forward and said, I know that I'm going to die young, I accept on myself, I take upon myself not only to dedicate my life to Torah, but also for Gemilut Chasadim, for acts of kindness and charity. Rava lived till the age of 40, so he got extension of about 20 years plus. Abaye lived till the age of 60. Rava extended his life in 20 years because of dedicating his life to Torah. And this is the type of individual that Torah means Torah, learning 18 hours a day. The other 6 hours a day is praying, eating, bathroom, and so forth. This is full day Torah. And as the Talmud says, the mouth doesn't stop talking from Torah, doesn't talk about the weather. And how was your day today? Oh, my day was okay. It was just Torah. Now Abaye took on himself not only learning Torah, but also adding acts of kindness. He extended it almost double, till the age of 60. So why is time so important? Because we just see here that I can get an extension. You know what it is to get an extension? Most people, by the way, they actually lose from their time. I mean, you get a certain amount of time to live in this world. And every second of this world, every second of this life, you better take care of it. Now, a lot of people, what they do is they do severe sins, so they get a decree from the world above that is called death by the heavenly court. If a person desecrates Shabbat, then there's a lawsuit against him in Shamayim because he damaged the world above. And the decree, the punishment is called Mita b'dei Shamayim, death by the heavenly court. And a person can die much longer than what he's supposed to. This is one example out of many. There's different types of severities and sins. We just now learned twice, both in Parashat Kedoshim and Achrei Mot, about all the forbidden relations. This is Onesh Karet. This is a punishment of Karet. that the soul gets chopped off, meaning the person cannot live more than a few more years. So some people, they cut their life short. Wouldn't you want to extend your life? So we see, this is one story out of many, but we see that many times somebody took on himself a decision and extended his lifetime. So why is time so important that we tend to waste it so much? You have to look at your life, look at your day, and you make an analogy. Why are you wasting time, and what's the value of your time? And I told you already, sometimes people, they see me, hey, whoa, wait a minute. No, wait a minute. You want to talk to me? Walk with me. I have now 3 minutes to get from point A to point B. You're taking my time. Walk with me. So, now every time that I go on trips, then we advertise that I come and we book personal meetings. There's usually 2-3 classes in the morning, a lecture or 2 at night, and in the middle of the day, we do personal meetings. And the meetings are short, 10 minutes, 20 minutes. And the girl that books the meetings tells the person, listen, you don't have to tell the rabbi your entire life story. Come with your question ready. You don't want to use your 20 minutes of 19 minutes telling your question and then 1 minute leaving for the answer. Make the question 1 minute, give time for the answer. So sometimes I do. I spend about 3 to 5 hours a day, either in person, mostly on the phone, with phone calls. 5-minute phone calls, 10-minute phone calls, 15 minutes to talk to people. Because of the popularity online, then we have, Baruch Hashem, 250,000 people around the world that are following our system. That funnels in thousands and thousands of messages per day, and other people have questions. So I spend time on the phone, but the phone calls are short. And the secretary that takes the messages says, make sure your question is short and to the point. Don't need to waste, I don't need to hear the entire story. I need to hear the question so I can give you an answer. If I have questions about more background, I'll ask you. You don't have to start telling me the your grandmother's name, and this started like this and this started like that. Get to the point. So I'm talking about, I can only talk about myself, but I look around at people and I see how people are wasting their time. Constantly wasting their time. So comes the question, what is the value of time and why is time so important? Now, why am I even talking about time today? So first of all, we are in Sfirat HaOmer. This is a perfect time to talk about time. Because, Rochelle asked the other day, why do we count on Sfirat HaOmer? What's the significance of me saying today was 22 days? Because we learn every day here a little bit about the more mystical part, a more practical part about the counting. But what's the point with counting? So I told her, first of all, the reason why we were counting Sfirat HaOmer, why we started, because Moshe Rabbeinu told the nation of Israel, in 49 days you're getting the Torah. Really? 49 days, 48 days, and 47 days we're getting the Torah. They were counting. Like you go on a vacation, you count the days before the vacation. A person has a big thing going on, they're counting the days. Same thing here. You know why we count the day? You can look at it the completely other way around. Another day passed. Another day passed. Another day passed. What did you do today? We're counting the days. Wait a minute. If you're not counting the days, they're just going to go like that. Have you ever been on a vacation for 2 weeks and then the last day of the vacation, hey, we didn't do anything. Yeah, we were sleeping all day long. Well, that's the vacation, but I didn't do anything. And then the last day, you're running up and down. So we're counting time at the Omer to say, wait a minute, time is going. Where is this time going? So I have to count everything. If I have a lot of diamonds, I count them all the time. If I have a lot of money, when I was younger and I used to constantly do business, then I had a lot of money. I would count my money all the time, because if it moved, you counted it yesterday. Yeah, but the smell of these crisp bills, I would count my money all the time. It would sit in a safe. I would open the safe, take the money out, count it. Why are you counting it again? Nothing changed. It didn't grow in the safe. But when you have something valuable, you count it. Time is valuable, start counting it. Count your days. But I'm not only talking about time because of Sfirat HaOmer, I'm talking about the parasha. Because the parasha is a very special parasha. Like I told you before, Parashat Behar, very short parasha. Usually it will be attached to Parashat Bechukotai. And this parasha, some call it the social mitzvot parasha, because the mitzvot are talking about social needs of other people. Needless to say, a lot of mitzvot of ben adam lechavero, between one person to another, Ahavat Israel. But nevertheless, this is a parasha that is talking about a lot of social needs of others. And like I told you, very short parasha, And even though it's short, it has a lot of very meaningful mitzvot in it. And very interestingly, everything is precise in the Torah. Some call this parasha the heart of the Torah. You know why? Because it's the 32 parasha from the beginning. Start from Bereshit, count the parashot. Parashat Behar is parasha number 32. 32 in Hebrew is Lamed Bet. 30 is Lamed, 2 is Bet, Lev. Lev in Hebrew is heart. Some will call this parasha the heart of the Torah. Now the heart can be the middle, which is not the middle. We don't have 64 parashot, but nevertheless the heart is the heart. It's where the emotions. It's where things are more sensitive. This is not logical. This is heart. So this is the parasha that is called the heart of the Torah. Why? Like I told you, not because it's the middle. Rather, count the parashot from Bereshit and so forth. You'll get this is the parasha number 32. And this is the parasha of Ahavat Israel. Not because it says here, V'ahavta l'cha kamocha. That we read 2 weeks ago. Rather because most of the mitzvot in this parasha is about one participating in another, and consideration. These are 2 big mitzvot. If you know how to participate with other people's business, that's a big thing. Helping. How many people, they have an event and they need help? Come and help me set the table. Come and help me with money. Come and help me with something. Whatever it is. You know what it is to participate in another mitzvah? We have a fund that we collect money and we help young couples that don't have money to get married. And this is a great mitzvah. It's called Achnasat Kala. And some people, they participate, they donate just for that. And in the right time, in the right place, we, of course, inspect the situation and everything, not to be taken advantage of, but we help in an event. It's participating in an event. So how many times were you asked, or maybe not, maybe you voluntarily did that, but to participate in somebody else's event or mitzvah, that's a big thing. So in this parasha, we find many mitzvot of participating. And, of course, to be considerate, that's a big thing. Many people, they don't know what it is to be considerate. They're considerate when it comes to their own things. But if somebody else is trying to do something, focus, sleep, work, whatever, So this is the parasha of the heart. Why? A lot of consideration, a lot of participation in the mitzvot. Specifically, we're going to focus on 3 mitzvot today that are very dominating in this parasha. One of them is called mitzvot Shemitah. Shemitah is that in the 7th year, you don't work. The sabbatical year, you stop from working. Excuse me. The second is the Shemitah and Yovel. I always, mix it up. Jubal or Jubilee? How do you call it? Jubilee? Jubilee. Okay. Yovel. Every 50 years, everything goes back to its original. And the third mitzvah is the mitzvah that is called ribit. You're not allowed to lend money for a person and ask for interest. We'll talk about this a little bit more because a lot of people will, wait a minute, what did you say, interest? I'm not allowed to loan money with interest or to borrow money. This is something that one for sure needs to learn. Later on, if we have a little bit of time, thank you so much. If we have a little bit of time, I'll touch this a little bit more. Because this is very important to know. But nevertheless, I'm not allowed to lend money and to take interest on that. It's called ribit. And these are the 3 mitzvot that are dominating in this parasha. Now, what is the idea of Shemitah? Every 7 years, then the 7th year you don't touch the ground anymore. That's it. No working. Now in our generation, okay, big deal. So I'll get apples from Europe. Big deal. What's the big? Today you import whatever you want. You know what it was? 500 years ago, 2,000 years ago, a whole year not to work. This is people's business. Most people were farmers. How do you not work for a whole year? Now what do you eat? So okay, so you can eat fruit. Fruit, there wasn't a problem. It was actually a mitzvah to eat the fruit. But nevertheless, it had to be eaten b'kedusha. You had to take it to Yerushalayim. But nevertheless, you can still eat fruit. But vegetables? Or anything that comes from the ground, you're not allowed to work the ground. How do you get wheat? How do you get flour? What's the big deal? You know what it is? Now we don't understand the Yetzer Hara. You know what the Yetzer Hara was 500 years ago, 1,000 years ago, to keep the Shemitah? Now, okay, now in Israel, first of all, you don't do it outside of Israel. You do it in Israel. Now we do it in Israel only b'derabanan, from our sages. So So even 500 years ago, 1,000 years ago. But at the time when there was a Bet HaMikdash, this is Doraita. Not allowed to work on the land. So the 1 year, no work, no land, no produce. The second mitzvah that we talked about, the Jubilee, the Yovel, this is a very long mitzvah to explain, but to say it in a short version, this is when you reset everything. In our generation, we have a lot of gadgets. When something doesn't work, you know what we do? We reset it to factory settings, right? That's how you say, you bring it to factory setting. Reset. This is the Shnat Yovel. You reset everything. In Hebrew it's called ipus, that things don't work out. Just the other day, my computer decided it wanted to go on a vacation and everything crashed. So this is not so good. You lose the data, you do lose information, lose time. But the advantage is you start fresh. You clean the entire computer. Now everything is fresh from the beginning. So what is this really, this reset that we see on the Yovel? And I don't want to talk about the mitzvah today. This is not the time now. But the land goes back to the owner. This is the general thing. We're not going to go about everything, how it's done. It's done on Rosh Hashanah, they blow the shofar the first time. Yom Kippur, they blow the shofar the second time. But the way it worked is that we all got a part of the land by Moshe Rabbeinu, and everybody owned land. Now what happened is a lot of people, they got into some financial stress. They had to rent the land, sell the land, give the land. So what happened is that somebody could come and buy the land, but at the Shnat Yovel, at the time of the cut-off time, the Yovel, the land goes back to its owner. So this is where everything gets reset, everything goes back to its rightful owner, and that's it. This is in general what the mitzvah is about. Again, now not the time to go into length about it. Now, ribit, interest, this is a tough one. First of all, the Torah is very, very strict about interest. You're not allowed to borrow anything with interest. The Torah is so strict about it that it reminds us 3 times in the Torah about interest. In this week's parasha, in Behar, in Parashat Mishpatim, and Parashat Kititzeh. 3 times in Torah. When the Torah repeats something, that's emphasizing, listen, I'm telling you, don't do this mistake. But nevertheless, we're not allowed to lend with interest. Now, a lot of people say, so how do you take a mortgage? How do you lease a car? How do you take a credit card? Then, in order to do that, then there's something that is called heter iska. That because it's a business, then this is not so easy to explain it, definitely not in a few minutes, but big businesses like banks, mortgages, credit card, leasing companies, they do what's called a heter iska. Maybe one day we can do a long class about that, and then you're allowed to. But you have to find out, here in Israel, for example, if you want to pay, very common to pay in installments, tashlumim. In America, you put it on the credit card and you pay the credit card company your payments. In Israel, you go to a place, they tell you how many installments do you want. Now, if they charge you without interest, no problem. A lot of them, they charge you interest, especially the electricity company, the water company, the gas company. But with them, you are allowed to do that because they have heter iska. But a lot of companies, you have to ask them, do you have a heter iska? If they tell you we do, then you can pay with interest. If not, you can't pay with interest. Nevertheless, it's so severe that a person who loans money with interest, it says it doesn't get up in Tchiyat HaMetim. It doesn't have a place in the world to come. Loses his world to come because he lends money with interest. Now, I know there are very interesting mitzvot. I highly suggest to go and look and learn the in depth about these mitzvot. But what's the idea behind these 3 mitzvot, if you want to look at it? So there are a few different approaches to explain these mitzvot. One approach is that the Torah is coming to control any type of greed or addiction to money. Because most people, when they start getting their hands into money, they become more greedy, and in most cases, some people become even addicted to the power, to the money, to the control. Money is very powerful. And if I become very addicted to money, addicted not only to spending it, to making it, and some people, they're so into making money, they'll ram anything in their way. They'll cheat, they'll steal, they'll take advantage. More than that, a famous quote our sage says, "Ra'ev lekesef lo yisba kesef." A person who's hungry for money will never have enough money. Now, why is that so important to the Torah? Because the Torah wants to make you understand your money doesn't belong to you. You are not making money. Hashem is giving you that money. You are not a star. Hashem is just giving you the money. Everything belongs to Hashem. So why is the Torah now making you stop working for 1 year? To tell you, your money, your parnasah is not coming because you work, because Hashem decided to give you. Why at the 50th year in the Yovel, the property goes back to the owner? To tell the tycoons, this is not yours. You got it for now. That's nice. But you don't own anything. Nothing is yours. The Torah wants to put you in the place to tell you, listen, everything belongs to the Kadosh Baruch Hu. Take things in the right perspective. Some people, their money goes so high up in their head, they think they own the world. They think they own everything. And they control everything. And then what happens is they stop believing, or maybe didn't even start believing, that it's Hashem that gave him the money. Then you're already going into a very dangerous zone of heresy and idolatry, that you think I did everything. The Torah warns you, don't even think for one second you did anything. Kochi ve'otzem yadim, my power, my might. Hashem did everything. We spoke about it last year, especially last few days in the Sphira of Netzach of this week. That even when you are victorious and successful, don't take credit for anything. Kadosh Baruch Hu allowed you to be successful and victorious. Now, this is one approach. Why the idea behind these 3 mitzvot? Rambam, on the other hand, Maimonides, he says, no, these mitzvot are here to help the poor people. It's like I told you, a social mitzvah. It's coming to help the people who are less fortunate. Why? Because if not, then the rich people will take over, which is actually what you see, what's going on in this world. There are a few rich families, a few rich companies, they control everything. They own everything. And somebody does something successful, well, they'll go and buy it. You know that in America, 10 companies own all the food in America. All the food industry is owned by 10 companies. And you think, if you're looking at the chart, you'll see 500 companies, but they're all owned by 10 companies. And they own all of them. So, and you see that the same thing, in many countries. Can you open a gas station in Israel? Have you tried to open a gas station? You can't. It's owned by a few companies, and that's it. You can't open a gas station. So how come they make all the money? You know what a business it is to own a gas station? Ooh, I know somebody who owns a gas station. Ooh, that's a lot of money. How come I can't open a gas station? Because somebody already bought the rights, and that's it. You can't do that. In Israel, up until a few years ago, there was only one phone company. A private-owned phone company. One phone company, Bezek. It's the only company. No competition, no nothing. They passed a law a few years ago. No such a thing anymore. Now you have 15 companies. And that's free market. I want to have a phone company too. I'll give better deals. I'll give better services. So same thing with cable and same thing with everything. So you see in our world, in our generation, that it's the tycoons that are controlling everything. It's one person that comes with money, he buys the entire thing, the entire industry. And if you want to make money in that industry, you still have to go to the big guy. I have a friend, I don't know if I'm sure you're familiar, that in America it's very popular. In the United States, in the malls, they have these kiosks. And a lot of them are owned and worked by Israelis. I mean, the Americans are dreading the Israelis. They walk into the mall, they already see, this guy's going to jump on me and sell me some cream. This guy's going to jump on me and file my nails. But nevertheless, this is a business and a half. I have a friend that he's the guy who supplies all the products to these malls. They all have to go through him. So you want a certain product? He's the guy. He, of course, manufactures everything in China, brings everything, imports everything. But if you want a certain product, it's all funnels up to the same guy. So the Torah says, I don't want to give the rich power. That's what Rambam says. No, these mitzvot are to put the tycoons under control. You're not controlling anything here. I run the show. And when it's time to give over your wealth, you give over your wealth. Can you imagine somebody owning land and comes the Shemitah and Yovel, the Jubilee, and whoop, all the land, whoop, goes back to its rightful owners. And you, in one overnight, you lost your business. But that's fairly done. Nevertheless, so this is another approach about these mitzvot, and another approach when it's talking about ribit. Ribit is not to charge ribit. It's called chesed. It's kindness. If I have money now, and I can lend you some money, and I can make some money over it, why not? If I have a house, why can't I rent an apartment and make money on the rent? It's totally legal. If I have a car and I rent a car, like a rental company, what's wrong with that? So what's wrong with me renting my money? Sitting in my bank anyways. No? If you want to think about it. If you own a lot of apartments and you rent them, what's the difference? That's totally kosher. So what's wrong with me? Now I have money, you need money. Here, I'll rent you the money. I'll give you 1,000, give me back 1,100. But the Torah says, no, you're not allowed to do that. This is called in the terminology of the Torah, chesed, that I'm just giving you the money. So now that we kind of focused on what are the major mitzvot in this parasha, let's go back to time. And we started with the idea of time. I'm sure you have noticed the Torah starts with the letter Bet. Bereshit bara Elokim et hashamayim v'et haaretz. Which would make much more sense to start with the letter Aleph. Why are you starting with the letter Bet? Why are you skipping a letter? So if you were here on Shabbat for Sudah Shlashit, I gave a very long explanation why we started the Torah with the letter Bet and not with the letter Aleph. But nevertheless, the Torah starts with the letter Bet. Technically, to the right mind reader, it should have started with an Aleph, and especially with the word Elokim. Because what do we start the Torah? Bereshit bara Elokim. Doesn't it make more sense to say Elokim bara bereshit et haolam? God created in the beginning the world. Ooh, perfect. Sits very well. God created the world. Starts with an Aleph. Everything sits very well. But nevertheless, this Bet makes a lot of problems. I told you once a story. It's called Targum HaShivim. There was a king, Talmai, a Greek king. And he was a very educated individual. He wanted to learn the Torah. So he decided to force the Jews to translate the Torah. But he said, listen, these Jews are sneaky. They're going to translate the Torah and hide things. They're not going to tell me the truth. My mother warned me from these Jews. Be careful from these Jews. These are tricky people. They'll lie to you even about their age, about their name, about the date, about the hour. They're never going to say anything precise. So how would he get a perfect translation of the Torah? What did he do? He took 70 rabbis and separated them in 70 rooms. And he told them, now, each and every one of you, you translate the Torah. Now, if some of them would lie, I will see right away who lied. There was an unbelievable miracle. There was a Ruach HaKodesh, a divine inspiration that got intervened, and all 70 rabbis changed parts in the Torah identically. Everybody did the same thing. They knew, they felt what would be interpreted the wrong way by this king, and they all, unbelievably, miraculously, all did the same change. And the first change that they did is instead of writing Bereshit bara Elokim et hashamayim, because what would that sound like? That Bereshit is a God. Bereshit bara Elokim. That Bereshit created Elokim. That Bereshit is the name of a God. And Elokim is the name of a God. So if you read it very simply, what does it sound like? Bereshit created Elokim. So this is not going to be interpreted well. So they switched it all together. Elokim bara bereshit et hashamayim. Elokim created in the beginning the heavens and the earth. So this is one example out of many how this Bet makes a lot of problems. This Bet. The letter, of course. Nevertheless, so why is the Torah starting with the letter Bet? Now, I explained on Shabbat, I'll say it very, very briefly, that one of the students of the Arizal, most people don't know the students of the Arizal. They know Rabbi Chaim Vital, that's who they relate with. But he had a group of students. They were called the Lion's Cubs, Gurei Ha'ari. The Ari HaKadosh, his name is Yitzchak Luria, but he's known as the Ari. Ari is a lion. So his students were called the Lion's Cub, Gurei Ha'ari. One of them is a great student. His name is Rabbi Ephraim. And he writes in one of his books that originally, when we got the Torah, Kadosh Baruch Hu wanted to give us a perfect Torah. And originally we were supposed to get 6 books, not 5 books. But the Kadosh Baruch Hu saw that there's going to be a problem and it can be misused because the first book is full of Hashem's names, so he decided not to give us this book. Now, where do we see, why did we learn that on Nesudah Shlishit? Because last week we were reading in the parasha about the 12 loaves of breads that you have to organize on the holy table, 12 loaves of breads. And specifically they have to be organized 2 on one side and 2 on another side. 6 here, 6 here. Where are we getting these 6? So in the oral Torah we have Shisha Sidrei Mishnah, 6 Sdarim of Mishnayot. And on the other side we have Chamisha Chumshei Torah. We only have 5 books of Moshe. Where's the 6th one? So the student of the Ari explains that, originally we were supposed to get 6 books. But now 1 book is now put aside. In the future, Kadosh Baruch Hu will give us another book. This 6 books, which was supposed to be the first one, which makes Bereshit the second book. Now, 2 in Gematria is Bet. Bet, that's why the second book starts with Bet. The first book starts with an Aleph. So far, just that you know, we're missing 1 book. And very soon Mashiach is going to come. Then when the prophet says about Mashiach, v'Torah chadasha mi'iti titzeh, a new Torah will come. We're missing a whole book. Once Mashiach is going to come, we're going to get this book. But nevertheless, that book starts with an Aleph. And the second book, second in line, starts with the letter Bet. Now more than that, the books are organized based on the worlds. So the first book is corresponding to the world of Atzilut. So it starts with the letter Aleph. But the second book, which is Bereshit, corresponds to the world of Bria. So it also starts with Bet. But it's a much lower level book. It's the Torah that we're learning in this world. The first book that we're missing is the Torah that is learned in the world above. I mean, what are the souls doing up there? Well, I think they're playing their begament all day long, chess. They're learning Torah in Shamayim. How many places do you see sources? What are the souls doing? They're learning Torah. So what, the souls in Shamayim are learning Torah about interest? About not learning in interest? Just imagine you deal with this world for 70 years about money. You go up to Shamayim, you want some quiet. Again, you're learning about money. That's not the Torah they learn up in Shamayim. You know, one of the most basic teachings in the oral Torah, this is the most famous tractate, that's what kids start learning. It's called Shtayim Ochzim Betalit. 2 guys are holding a talit. Echad omer zot sheli, echad omer zot sheli. 2 are pulling the talit. One says it's my talit, one says his talit. That's what they're learning on Shamayim, arguing about a talit. And then you learn the entire oral Torah about all sorts of physical things, business. That's not the Torah that they're learning in Shamayim. And what are learning there? Then there's the Torah that belongs to the world above. This is the Torah of the world of Atzilut. The Torah that we read here is the Torah that belongs to this world. So it's about money, it's about relations, about earthly and worldly things. On Shabbat I spoke of that more in length. I don't want to repeat right now. But nevertheless, this is the Torah that relates to us. The Torah in the world above, I explained to you the story of Moshe Rabbeinu. He went, moved the letters in the Torah. I don't want to now waste our time on more stories, but nevertheless, I started by asking why the Torah starts with the letter Bet, because the Torah that we have in this world is a Torah that belongs to this world. That's why it starts with the letter Bet. The Torah that's in the world above starts with the letter Aleph, and that's a different Torah. That's the Torah that we learn in the world above. Now, why am I saying that? Because every mitzvah that you see in this world must be that it has its mitzvah in the spiritual world. Because if the Torah in this world is a manifestation of the Torah in the world above, must be that every physical thing that we have here, it originated. It's manifested from a certain act, a certain spiritual thing in the world above. So must be a source, a root to interest in the world above. Because in the world above, in Gan Eden, there's no banks that you loan with interest. Now, if we learn it in this world, must be that there's a root in the world above. So let's see the connection now between the mitzvah of interest in this world to its spiritual root, and that will conclude us the first question that we talked about, time. So why is the Torah preventing me for lending money with interest? I asked you before, if I have a property with a house, why can't I rent it? Of course I can rent it. I have a car, I can lease it. I can do whatever. I have a donkey, I can lease you the donkey. I have tools, you can rent the tools, whatever it is. This is a total normal thing. Dafka interest, I'm not allowed to. Why is the Torah not allowing me to lend you my money right now? I have a lot of money sitting in my bank account. I want to give it over. I want my money to work for me. What's the big deal? There's a guy now who opened here, just that completely off the subject, but there's a guy I know, he rents cars. He opened now here an office. You ever need a car? He rents cars here. So the guy, what did he do? He went and bought a few cars, and he rents them. You pay 100 shekels a day, 150 shekels a day, chick-chack, and you rent a car. Very convenient. I don't have a car. I live here for 4 years. I don't have a car. What do I need a car from? To go from here to there. So once in a blue moon, when I need a car, I go and rent a car. So now it's very convenient. The guy opened here a store, literally here. Walk in. I don't know the name. I got an email, a text message right over here above the gesher, yeah. But it's convenient. You need a car. You walk in, pay whatever it is. So, what's wrong with open a business? The guy's smart. Bought a few cars and he rents them. Why is the Torah not allowing me to rent my money, to give money and taking interest? The idea is very, very simple. What do I do when I lend you money and I earn interest? You know what I do? I'll tell you what I don't do. I don't work. Let your money work for you. Now, if I have a lot of money and I'm just renting my money and I'm collecting my interest, then I don't work. I sit and have a cup of coffee at 10 o'clock in the morning with a bagel, with a croissant, whatever it is. I don't work. The Torah doesn't want you not to work. You stop from working. The Torah says, I don't want you to stop from working. The Torah says, I want you to work. What did we learn last week? Sheshet yamim ta'avod v'asita kol melachtecha. We just read that now, right? We read Parashat Behar about all the holidays. We learned that last week. And then, of course, it's talking about Shabbat. Sheshet yamim ta'aseh melacha. 6 day work. Torah says, I want you to work. This is not some vacation island that you don't do anything here. Work. The Torah says, I don't want you to retire in life. There's no such a thing as retirement. This is some invention. To retire? Maybe you can retire from your job, but do you retire from putting tefillin on? You retire from observing Shabbat? You retire from doing mitzvot? When I lived in New York, I can't pray in big synagogues, especially when everybody's talking on the phone and yelling and lashon hara and screaming. I like small corners that you come to pray. So I found this synagogue that the same way they built it 150 years ago, that's how it stayed. And the members of the synagogue also came with the synagogue. And they were all like in their 90s. And between Mincha and Arvit, I used to go and pray the Mincha and Arvit. The synagogue looked like the walls are about to collapse any second. Everything was like supported with all sorts of things. The books were like from like 150 years ago. Everything was old and they had like this scent of this old place. But nevertheless, it was so holy, so simple. And between Mincha and Arvit, there was like maybe 15 men and they learned Torah. The teacher was the young one. He was in his mid-80s. And all the rest were like in their 90s. And they would come with their walker, 3 hours just to walk. They all sat there with the magnifying glass and learning En Yaakov. And one of them was a jokester. And they all spoke in Yiddish. Here and there I picked up a word or not. And he would every now and then like say something and they would all crack up. So he would say something and they're all like, without their teeth, like banging on the table. And then one of them would start, Shmerele, you okay, Shmerele? Was machst du? And I would sit there and just look at this scene of these old guys, shaking and learning. But it was such a pleasure to look at it. And I know some of them, for them, to walk from the house to the shul, 3 hours. It was funny because outside the shul was all the wheelchairs and the walkers and the Filipinos, the assistants. Outside was all the assistants that helping them. And it was so magical to look at it. And I wanted sometimes just to come and to snap shots, but I didn't want to even disturb them. One time it was so sad. Somebody came and renovated the place, lost its charm. A few of the members died. Somebody renovated the place, made the floor look good, the walls look good, everything changed. It lost its beauty and I stopped going there. But what am I saying? These men could easily stay home and retire. Torah says you don't retire. Why would you want to retire? A person retires when they're 60, now what are you going to do for 20 years? My father's 75 years old. Baruch Hashem, she's chaim arukim. Should be married to have a long, long life. He has a business, he's working. And many people tell him, stop working, you already have everything. And he says, what am I going to do? What am I going to do? I'll wake up in the morning, I'll go for a walk for an hour, I'll sit and have my cup of coffee. 10 o'clock in the morning, what am I going to do? I need to work, I need to do something. So he's not observant. Maybe an observant man will say, I will learn Torah all day long. But the Torah tells you, I don't want you to quit. I don't want you to stop in the middle. Therefore, I don't want you to start lending your money because you're just going to be sitting like this. Let my money work for me. Why? Because the Torah tells you, value every moment of your life. Value every moment of your time. If you just don't do nothing, then what are you doing with your life? If your money is working for you, then you're not doing nothing. And one of the reasons why Hashem made us work, so I can apply half of the Torah into my business. Don't lie. Don't cheat. Be truthful. Be honest. Pray for Hashem to give you a blessing. You know how many mitzvot we apply when we do business, when we work? Even if I'm not a business owner, even if I'm just a worker, show up on time. Don't take things that don't belong to you. Be courteous, be honest, and so forth. So the Torah says, how are you going to apply the Torah if you don't work, if you're just sitting like this all day long? Or doing anything else that is not, that you're just wasting your time. The time has to be holy. Holy and sacred, and you should not waste your time. There's a very interesting story told by Rav Ovadia Yosef, that there was once a Jew who wanted to relocate himself from this city to this city. So before moving to the other city, what do? You go and check it out. So he goes to check out the city, and on the way into the city, he sees the cemetery. So he says, let me check the cemetery, let's see who's buried in the city. Maybe there's some great tzaddikim buried in the cemetery. Maybe this city was a city of scholars. He goes into the cemetery, goes to the first tombstone and says the name, lived for 3 years. Ooh, oy, oy, oy. Goes to the next stone, this guy lived 7 years. 7 years. Goes to the next stone, 11 years, 9 years. What's going on here? What is this city? Everybody's dying here when they're kids? He doesn't know what's going on. Okay, he says, listen, I don't know if this city is good for me. But I'm already here, let me just check it out. It was time for mincha. He walks into the synagogue to pray. He comes to the rabbi of the synagogue and tells him, what's going on in this city that everybody's dying young? Now, as he's going into the synagogue, you know what he sees? Exactly like the synagogue that I used to pray. Everybody in the synagogue are in their 80s and 90s. They're all old people. He says, I don't understand that. In the synagogue, everybody's old. In the graveyard, in the cemetery, everybody died young. So the rabbi told him, listen, let me explain to you what's going on in this city. In this city, we calculate time different. What do? We have notebooks, and every day we make a mark in this notebook. If my day was productive, then I will make a check. If my day was not productive, I will make an X. And like this every day of our life. And when chas v'shalom the person dies, comes chevre kadisha, prepare the body to be buried, and they look at the notebook. And they calculate the days of the life according to how many checks they were. So if they have many, many checks, then they lived a long life. But unfortunately, a lot of people, they do X's. So on the matzeva, on the stone, it will say he lived for 3 years, 7 years, 5 years. Didn't live much. But if you live your life to the fullest, and every day there's a check, then we calculate the days completely different. And this is the amount of life what we have here, based in the story, of course. The days of how much good the person did, that's what's going to go on the count of the life. So when we want to finalize the idea of time, what is time? Time is my mission in this world. It's my shlichut, my journey here. I'm here on a journey. I'm here on some type of a mission. And time constantly is calling my name. If you would be able to hear. Sometimes you hear your name. A lot of people tell me, sometimes I hear my name. Yeah. It's time telling you, hello. It's 2 o'clock. What did you do today? Time is constantly calling you and telling you, please, do something with me. God gave you me. Do something with it. You just need to open your ears and to say, wait a minute, time is calling me. What did I do now for the last 3 hours? Yeah, you know what I did? I went like this. This is the Facebook syndrome. You go like this. Doesn't end. You go with the finger. I mean, the ones that don't get it, some people look at me, what do you mean you go like this? But you go with your mouse like that. You know? One time we also run Facebook accounts. So one time the person who runs our Facebooks, you know, they were working on the computer. My daughter was looking at the screen. And after a while she told me, what, Facebook never ends? I says, no, it never ends. It's a pit. And you just go like this. And then after 3 hours, you're like, whoa, what did I do? Well, you just watched a few cats dancing and a few other junk and the same post over and over, a lot of Lashon Hara. Time is calling you and telling you, hello, what are you doing? Hashem gave you a present. Use it. I'll finish with one quick story. I'm sure you maybe heard about it. There was a great Tana, Yochanan ben Zakkai. And he was not just a regular rabbi. He's one of the only ones who is called in the Talmud Rabban Yochanan ben Zakkai. You know, all the rest are called Rabbi, Rabbi Akiva, Rabbi Meir, Rabbi Shimon. He's called Rabban Yochanan ben Zakkai, the rabbi of all rabbis, the top of the top. Needless to say what the rabbi did, what the Tana did, but nevertheless, right before he died, he was on his deathbed and his students came to say goodbye and he was crying. They're telling him, why are you crying? So he says, I'm afraid I'm not going to go into Gan Eden. You? If you're not going to go into Gan Eden, then there's nobody in Gan Eden. If you're not going in there, why are you afraid to go into Gan Eden? So he says, I never stopped for 1 second to think, where am I holding? Now, it's the first time that I stopped. Hey, wait a minute. I'm about to die. Where am I holding? Can you imagine in his age, old age, he never stopped. Like a machine. He was constantly just learning Torah, teaching Torah, doing acts of kindness, mitzvot. He never stopped for 1 second to say, wait a minute, let me make an assessment where I am. Where am I holding? So that was the first time that he was like, wait a minute. Maybe I'm not doing 100. He was only doing without stopping for 1 second. Can you imagine the level? And then that's the first time that he was like, where am I? Now, maybe I didn't do something right. Now this is of course Rabban Yochanan ben Zakkai. Most people, they don't even stop in the middle of their life to say, wait a minute, where am I holding? Where am I right now? Am I wasting my time? I have value of my time? You know about Avraham Avinu, it says an interesting quote, V'Avraham zaken ba bayamim. Avraham zaken, he was old. Okay, so he died when he was 175, but his zaken means he was full of life. But what does it mean, ba bayamim? Came with his days. It says about Avraham Avinu that he didn't even miss 1 day of his life. Every day was for the fullest. From morning to night, he didn't waste 1 moment. So it says about Avraham, zaken, ba bayamim, all the day, he came with all of his days. And that's what I want to take from that. This is why this parasha is so important and so powerful. And that's why I started by saying that one of the most important messages is lying in this parasha, because I need to make a decision, how am I taking advantage of my time? And how am I using my time? And if you use the time your right way, your day would look completely different. And, you know, to conclude, time was given to us for free, to take advantage of. Don't waste your time. Don't waste your time. I see people, I look at people, I observe everything that is around me, and I see people are wasting their life on nothing. Another day, another week, another month, another day passes, another day passes. If comes the end of the day and you can't make this check, then this is not good. So what you want to take from this class is the Torah is telling you, God gave you time. Cherish it. Value your time. Value other people's time. Don't waste your time. You start wasting your time, stop yourself. Work in a calculated way. What am I doing now? What am I doing here? How much hours I'm putting for Torah? How much hours I'm putting for work? How much hours I'm putting for sleep? What am I doing with my time? Because every moment that passes, you'll never get it back. Which means that it will roll over. And time is so valuable. You know, when people start valuing their time, when the doctor, chas v'shalom, comes and tells them you have 3 months to live. Suddenly, wait a minute, only 3 months? I'll never squeeze in 3 months what I wanted to do. Now you wake up. So don't wait for chas v'shalom, for doctors to come with bad news, or even more than that. What are you waiting for? Mashiach to suddenly arrive and say, whoa, 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 he's already here. I didn't do anything. Well, Mashiach is already knocking on the door for a decade, for 2 decades, for 2,000 years. Hello, get your act together. Any second Mashiach is coming. The second Mashiach comes, you know what they do? They stop the clock. The Talmud says, "Lo mekablim ba'alei tshuva v'lo mekablim gerim." Once Mashiach comes, that's it. We don't accept anybody to do tshuva, and we don't accept converts anymore. Whatever you were able to do, that's what you did. That's it. And just to soothe the ones who are worried, if you already started, don't worry, Mashiach will make you end. If you already started your tshuva, you started your conversion, Mashiach will make it end. But if you, before that, sorry to tell you, the business shut down. How many times you came the last person to the business? Sorry, I'm closed already. The door goes down, but I need it. No, sorry, we're closed. So don't waste your time. And most important, value your time. And value every moment to do the right thing, to learn Torah, to do acts of kindness, to do mitzvot, to even just thank Hashem for giving me time. And don't waste it on this generation. Is the biggest waste of time. I said Facebook, also all the smartphones and everything and all this, it's such a waste of time. I also use technology, but I don't abuse it. I also use everything that everybody else has used. But I don't all day long on the phone and all this nonsense. So, Bezat Hashem, take the smart advice of the Torah. The best advice is in the Torah. This is the heart of the Torah. This parasha is coming to tell you this is the core of everything. Know how to value the time. Then Hashem is going to give you time. Value the present that Hashem gave you. Hashem will give you much more than that. He will make you use the time much better. He will expand the time. What will take you 5 hours will take you an hour now. What should have taken you a project of a week will take you a day. You'll be able to do things faster and more efficient, but value every moment of your time. Thank Hashem 10 times a day, 20 times a day. Stop for 1 second, make an assessment. You know that the great sages, what they used to do, every hour they would stop and make a quick analogy. How was my hour? To make sure I'm not wasting anything. Okay, this hour was not productive. Okay, let's get to the program. The hour was good? Good, let's continue. That's how you have to work. You have to work with increments. You have to work very calculated. I know it sounds very mechanical, but if you don't do it any other way, then you waste your time. You waste your time, you're taking the most precious present that Hashem gave you, and you're ignoring it. So take this most precious present that Hashem gave you, your time, and cherish it, value it, and use it the best way you can. Have a beautiful rest of the week.